Hey y'all, hey, this is Coffee with Friends, and I am raw to the bone. Come on in, y'all. Happy Thursday, happy Thursday. I know I got a late start, and I've been starting late lately and everything, but y'all know for those that follow me and for those that are carrying along in my journey, you know that the last couple of weeks I've been in my own headspace. I've been dealing with my own shit, with this case I got coming up, this litigation case I got coming up in June. And I'm just in my head a bit. But I am here, y'all. I am here. So come on in. I'm gonna start y'all off with the positive vibes of the day. All right. Because no matter what, it's gonna be a good day. And God damn it, I need someone to remind me of that right now. Okay.
Step one, wake up early, gon' rise with the sun.
Hey.
Step two, get some good, some food in you.
What?
Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, Brandilla.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do.
The aftermath of preparation.
Good food, good mood.
Blood in circulation.
One step at a time.
Yeah, that's how you make it.
Set a goal.
You control and the steps you take them.
I try to pick one
thought, have some concentration.
And if I make a mistake,
it's called education.
I try to do this
every day, call it replication.
Okay. Today's gonna be a
good day.
What?
Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day. Life ain't easy, yo. I think there's a reason.
Hey.
Ups and downs, just like every different season.
Hey.
Sometimes I'm high.
Other times I'm big. Hey, Val. Yes, I got your moolah. Negative thoughts.
Poison the ride. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap.
All the
bad for the good
in my head
when I'm lost.
Hey, what?
So I'ma fake it till I make it.
Positive vibes are overtaken.
I got patience.
One day at a time, that's how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes
temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation.
I live my life in my head
like a narration.
Don't expect greatness through my best man. I take it what?
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day. Boy, I need to know that.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.
What?
Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Come on, y'all. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. So I tell myself.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Are these still too bad twisted? Because, oh, yeah, they are. Step 4. Hey. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know I'm late. I got everybody all confused. But y'all, lately I've just been struggling mentally. I've been struggling mentally, and that's my honest. This case really is getting to me, and I'm trying to keep my normal routine up. I'm trying to have capacity for my show. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you. I'm trying to have capacity for my show. I'm trying to have capacity for these topics. And all the meanwhile, I'm thinking June is coming and I got to come up with this money for this case. And so, one of the hardest things for me to do is ask for help, right? And I know that, good morning, Johnny Leon Help. And I know that I need to do better with that. And sometimes when I say it's hard for me to ask for help, and people be like, all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. I fucking hate that because it's not that simple for me. It really, really isn't. I have to work really hard to ask somebody to help me, right? And so today I took a leap of faith and I started to ask for help, like on TikTok and places like that, to set a little $2 donation to my Cash App. And the reason why I said $2 is because I know inflation is kicking our asses, right? And I'm not trying to ask people for $5, for $10, for $20, $50, or $100. But $2, I figured if I have 15,000 followers on on TikTok and I have however many followers on IG and everybody just sent me the fuck $2, I can make these legal fees, right? Without breaking everybody else's pocket. Ghost already sent me his $1 yesterday. Thank you, Ghost. I appreciate it. All right. And so, I'm going to keep going with this journey. All right. And so just pray for me, y'all. Pray for me that I can maintain, because this is hard. You know, I've been through a lot of hard things in life, and you ever look at your life and you be like, damn, I just want shit to stop being hard. Right? Like, when is shit gonna stop being hard? Like, if people look at my lives and they look at my videos and shit like that, and they probably say, oh damn, her life is easy. No. My life is hard. The fuck? I mean, I'm blessed. Let me not get that twisted. I am blessed because I have a roof over my head. I have a job that maintains my life. Okay, no matter how much I might struggle in some areas, I still am blessed. But this survival mode shit is for the birds. And I want to get out of survival mode. So I need to work on myself. How do I get the fuck out of survival mode? I feel like I'm always in survival mode. And my capacity lately is so limited. And so I say, for those, good morning, Thomas, for those that know me, and if I'm not as responsive as I used to be, if I'm not jumping in and doing things like I used to do, if I seem a little bit impatient with certain things, just have patience with me, okay? Because keeping a platform, a podcast up and running, keeping your businesses up and running, showing up for work and doing your work throughout the day, all while dealing with your own emotional issues, is not easy. It's not. Okay? And that's why I kick into survival mode. It's like I just kick and I'm outputting without thought. I don't know if you understand that, but you know, for those that go through that, you know, they might understand that. You know, they might understand that. And so as I go through this journey, please have patience with me, because I might seem off every now and again. I might. All right. And so this is what I talk about when I say Coffee with Friends is that platform where we unpack our true life, where we talk about our traumas, we talk about our experiences. It's that safe space that we land into, even though we are out on the internet and everybody can see it. It's still a safe space. It's a space that I come to and I let you guys know exactly how I'm feeling. Right? And every day is not going to be smiles and laughter. And so rock out with me while I go through some things, right? Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that I'm going to come out on top of this. Now, I don't know what that looks like, right? But if for nothing else, I want my story to be told. If for nothing else, I want the jury to hear what happened to me. I want the jury to look at me, and I want the jury to look at that doctor. And I want them to hear me. And I want them to see me, not just me, see me as a representation of other Black women who have received unacceptable medical care. I pray that this doctor gets what he deserves. That's all I can do. Thank you, Debbie. Keep praying that over me, right? Because I'm scared, y'all. Bergen County is a county that is full of doctors. I only had 2 counties to have my case out of choices. Morris County, racist. Bergen County, medically heavy. I went with the medically heavy over the racism because what choice did I have? I was told doctors blackball other doctors' practices. Good morning, Hillbilly. They blackball other doctors' practices. for testifying against them. This is why I have to pay so much out of my pocket, because these doctors are afraid to take a risk in fear that their practices might be blackballed. And so that's why they're charging me up front, because everybody is hoping that I shut the fuck up. I don't want to shut the fuck up. Don't we need to tell our stories? Don't we need to save other people out there from experiencing the same thing that I experienced? How do we help our community? This is a cry for help from me. And I never ask for help. I don't. But I'm asking. Okay? $2 to my Cash App. $2. That's it. If you are inspired to send more, I appreciate it. But I'm not trying to break nobody. I'm trying to, make sure y'all eat and I sue. That's it. Happy Thursday, Cheryl Lee. Happy Thursday. All right. And so again, guys, I want to apologize up front for any disconnection you feel from me. It is not on purpose. I am doing the best I can. When you are going through your own battles mentally, emotionally, it's hard to have the capacity to do other things. And so when y'all see me on TikTok dancing to the music and shit, and y'all be like, come on and do the show. Come on YouTube. YouTube is a little bit heavier for me, right? TikTok, I'm just dancing to music and I'm not really focusing on anything heavy. I'm just vibing with the music. I'm just sipping my coffee. And sometimes that's all my headspace can tolerate. And so I apologize to you guys up front for being late to the show or not being consistent and maybe not giving as much as I normally give. That is not my intent. But sometimes you just don't have enough to give yourself. How are you going to give to somebody else? So this is where I ask my chosen family, Coffee with Friends, to rock out with me. If you see that I'm struggling here, right? Have patience with me, right? Anybody else also, because I'm going to extend this, can also take the opportunity to host my show. If you feel that you want to come on and host the show, I will let you do that. I can have guest hosts that take my place and y'all do the questions and the topics and stuff like that. I don't mind sharing. That would help me. So if anybody wants to do hosting one day and take questions and come up with a topic and get on the camera, I'll put you on the camera and I'll sit quiet and you'll be the host for that day. Right? I can do that too. Because sometimes I'm tired. All right, but I'm here today. That's what's important. I'm here today. All right. Thank you, Hillbilly. I appreciate that. I still feel that I owe you guys an apology because I need y'all to know. Okay, Brandilla, let me know when. You host the whole show. I will open up the show. I'll play the fucking song, and then turn it over to you. You know what I'm saying? And I will just sit here. I will even take myself off the camera. And it could just be you, right? Just to give me an emotional and a mental break, but to still keep the momentum of the show going. And we can do that, right? We could do that for each other if we love this platform as much as we say. So Brandilla, thank you for standing up and being the first person to offer to be a host. Let me know what day you want to do that and what the topic is, and I will set up the topic for you. And I will put you down as the host for that day. All right. And we will go from there. And I appreciate it. I do. Anybody else want to be a host? Just let me know. Right? I can put together a calendar and I can say Brandilla is hosting this day. Valerie is hosting this day. Deb, you need to host too. Deb Gibson, you need to host a day. Fancy need to come on here and host the day. Cheryl Lee, you need to host the day. Pick a topic. You guys need to come into the room and help me. See how I'm asking for help? I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. Okay. But let me get into reading the positive thought of the day. It is March 21st, and March is the month of awareness. Let's see what message March 21st has for us today. Yesterday's message was very empowering, at least for me anyway. So you guys know I am reading from Until Today, Iyanla Vanzant. Okay, this is my book, y'all. This is my book, y'all. Okay, this is my book. All right. This is the rest of it. I reads this book. I must need to glue it. I think, can I just glue it back to the thing? We're going to see. Anyway, March 21st. They will not leave on your day, Debbie. Don't do that. They will not leave on your day. You are not boring. Okay. March 20th. You know what, Deb? Ask James if he would host one day. I would love to have a man on here hosting. And the only reason why I said James is because he's a fresh face, someone we haven't had on Coffee with Friends, but participated so heavily. And again, give me a second. And again, James wrote 2 books. And I would like him to come on and talk about what inspired him to write these books. Men, Equal Responsibility, and Signs. Debbie, that would be a good one. Maybe that's the one you can host, right? And you can ask your brother questions, okay, about these books. This is how we communicate. Debbie, the other hosting show you could do is interview your mother, right? Give us the opportunity to ask your mom questions along the books that she wrote. We can do this, y'all, right? This is how we spread the love across the community and help others get their information out there and help me by co-hosting the show. So I would love to have James on the show as a guest. Debbie, you should navigate that interview, come up with some questions, ask him to talk about his book, what inspired him to write each of these books, how these books showed up in his life personally, and whatever questions. Also, interviewing your mother to talk about what made her write this book. The story that she told us the day at the house about the ministry she started is a great story that everybody needs to know. This book is called God is a Single Parent Too, Inspiring Insight for Single Parents, Evelyn Grant Gibson, okay? And also, this is Poetic Endeavors, okay? This is where she wrote poems, that were inspired by various aspects of her life, okay? And in the back of the book, she describes what inspired each poem and what year the poem was written. And so, Debbie, these are great outlets. This is something I think would be great interviews, okay? That would give me a mental break as well as spread the love across for our Black community that's out here spreading their knowledge, their experiences, their pain, their healing. Okay? And so if your mom can come on the show, and not only come on the show, but pick 1 or 2 or 3 poems that she can read to us with her voice, with her animations, if she does animated readings, right? I would love for that to happen, right? Your mother's story is very empowering. Okay. Hillbilly, you too? I love that. And so let's start doing this. That will help me expand the platform, broaden it up for other people that's out there doing things like this. We have a great community of people that are doing things. Deb is working on an application right now. All right. When that app is released and it comes out, she is going to come on here and she's going to tell us all about that app. We have working folks on here. We have creative people on here. We are powerful people. Let's support each other. Let's support each other. All right. And so let me get into the positive read for the day. March 21st. I open my heart and mind to be aware. Trust is the foundation I must build my life upon. You cannot realize the meaningful fruits of a commitment or an agreement if you do not have trust. Trust is the belief that you will do what you say you will do, regardless of what anyone else is doing. This does not mean that you should not expect other people to honor their word. Trust as the foundation of any relationship, meaning knowing what you know about yourself, being willing to share that information with other people involved, and believing that what you know about yourself can and will get you through whatever happens. A message for me today. When you don't trust yourself, how can you expect to trust someone else? If you are not willing to ask for what you want up front, you are not going to get it. When you make an agreement with someone without asking for what you really want, you will undoubtedly become suspicious of them because you know that they don't know everything that you know. When you enter into an agreement built on this kind of foundation, you will ultimately become resentful of the other person. It's not them, it's you. You know what they don't know, what you really expect them to do, because you haven't told them what you need up front. Many agreements fall apart because the people who enter them are not ready to share the truth about themselves. They are hiding and believe that something is being hidden. They are not being honest and are on the lookout for dishonesty. It is only when you trust yourself to be able to move through whatever happens that you will attract people who can move smoothly with you. Until today, you may not have been aware of the agreements you made where trust and self-trust were not present. Just for today, work on trusting yourself and be sure to let yourself off the hook for the agreements you have made that did not work out. Today, I am devoted to building a trusting relationship with myself and other people. Today, I am devoted to building a trusting relationship with myself and other people. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Do you trust yourself? We talked about trust so much on this platform. Do you trust yourself? I ask myself that question all the time. And I want to say, I think that there's a small part of me that does not trust myself. Because if I did, why would I have so much mistrust in other people, right? I also feel like there's a part of me that is not honest with people about everything I want and everything I need, because I have been disappointed. The very few times that I ask for help, I've been told no. The very few times that I've asked for help, many of those times I have been told no. Many of those times I have felt like me asking for help was an inconvenience to other people. And it could be those very same people that have asked me for help in the past, and I've always shown up for them. And it's a hurtful feeling when you look to those very same people that you show up for on a regular basis, and when you need them, you feel like it's a burden. Right? And I'm not saying everybody in my life is like that. I find that most of the new people that I've met in my life through Coffee with Friends, they stand up. I can't even say nothing about y'all, but y'all are new friends in the last 4 years or so, right? But it hurts when you look at people that have been staples in your life and you go and you ask for help and they just be like, I can't, or I don't, or whatever. Right? That's why I asked the question the other day. Those who you sacrifice for, will they sacrifice for you? And lately, that question is just floating around in my head. And it just forces me, right, to really stand my boundaries up. It has. No matter how difficult it is for me, I'm going to stand my boundaries up so that I will no longer be disappointed. But I'm also going to work on being able to ask for what I need, right? And I'm not saying that when I ask for what I need, that I expect that every time I ask that people give me what I need. But if you know me, you know I barely ask. So if I come to you, that means I need you. It does. And the response that I get oftentimes hurts my feelings. And then I begin to feel resentful. Just like this said. And then if people circle back around and go, never mind, I'll make time for you, I'm like, I don't want it. Right? Because I never want people to do anything for me out of obligation. I don't want anybody to do anything for me from being pressured. Right? I want you to step into the room organically on your own. If I ask you for help and you say yes, I want it to be because that's what you really want to do. Not because I'm mad, not because, I said something smart. Because at that point, I don't want it. It doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel organic to me. And some people might say, that's your ego. And that might be. But this is me protecting myself from being disappointed most of my life, for feeling abandonment, right? Afraid of rejection. This is me. Those are things that trigger my trauma. And so I go into protect mode, which prevents me from asking for help because now I'm protecting myself. So the topic today isn't sacrifice. Good morning, Chalk. The topic today isn't sacrifice. The topic is something completely different, but I just wanted to tell y'all what my headspace was like, right? And so I would really like to be as transparent with you guys as possible. All right. Chalk, tell me about it, Chalk. It really is. But Chalk, how many people depend on me? And I show up. That's the hurtful thing. Right? Yesterday, and I think I told y'all, right, that my brothers reached out. Well, one of my brothers reached out to me. I have 4 brothers, but I feel like an only child most of the time. I'm closest to my brother, Tony, who's my mother's child. My other 3 brothers are my father's children by across 2 other women who I love and respect. One of them passed on. So one of my brothers reached out to me looking for one of my other brothers. And I'm like, why are you reaching out to me? And he was like, oh, I didn't know if you hear from him. I'm like, I don't hear from none of y'all. So if one of y'all are missing, you reach out to me to find out what. Y'all don't hear from none of y'all. And my brother was like, well, sis, I do respond to your comments. I do respond to You know what? Strangers respond to my comments. Strangers put hearts on my fucking Facebook page. I expect family to be more than fucking hitting like and putting hearts on my social media page. Right? So I gave up on them 3 brothers. I did. I only hold on to Tony because he in the Who Scout and he tries sometime. But them other 3, yes, they are my brothers, but I love them from a distance because that's how they love me. That's it and that's all. Okay, good morning, Mika. But today's topic, because, we're still getting through All About Love. This is that book that we promised to read And some people started, some people got through it. I'm almost finished the book, right? But in order to get us through it as a group, I'm coming up with topics, all right? And so today's topic is, why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? This is based on chapter 2. This is based on chapter 2, Justice, Childhood Love Lessons, right? Chapter 2. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? Yeah, Mika, he all right. He probably blocked my other brothers, Mika. I inboxed him and he responded and said he fine. I gave him his other brother's phone number and said, call your brother because they looking for you. End of story. Leave me alone. I am not CSI. Don't call me or inbox to fuck me just because somebody missing. You don't inbox and talk to me no other time. And I know that sounds mean and bitchy, but that's how I feel. He wasn't lost. He probably just blocked my other brothers for whatever reason. I don't know. I ain't got time. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? Okay, we got to first answer because I'm going to read some shit. Brandon said, I think harsh punishment is something our elders got from slavery. Anybody else? Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? You ever got a beating and your mother said, this hurts me more than it hurts you, or I'm doing this because I love you? Think about that for a minute. I'm going to heat up my coffee. Okay, so wait, let me go up and read these comments. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? The greater the danger, the harsher the love. Yes, hillbilly. Yes. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Yes, another a popular saying. Okay. Valerie said maybe harsh punishment to some is a way to gain respect. Okay. Deb said, I got plenty of whoopings and my mama said that it hurts her more and I'm still trying to figure out how. Baby, I'm trying to figure out why too, because I was like, hey, how does this shit hurt you? The fuck? Okay? I never understood that either. Ghost said, by the time you get to harsh punishment, you tried everything else. You still love them, but they have to learn. Chalk said, I think there's a difference between discipline and harsh punishment, though. Sometimes the lines can be blurred. Talk about it, Chalk. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? And how does that impact others' lives as they grow up? How does that impact you from an adult perspective? Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? Good morning, Tamika. Chapter 2, I'm just going to read the opening, right? Justice, childhood love lessons. Severe separations in early life leave emotional scars on the brain because they assault the essential human connection. The parent-child bond, which teaches us that we are lovable. The parent-child bond, which teaches us how to love. We cannot be whole human beings. Indeed, we may find it hard to be human without the sustenance of the first attachment to our parents, right? Our first attachment is to our parents, right? Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? As children do, we pretended to accept this grown-up logic, but we knew in our hearts it was not right. We knew it was a lie, just like the lie the grown-ups told when they explained after harsh punishment. It hurts me more than it hurts you. There is nothing that creates more confusion about love in the minds and hearts of children than unkind and or cruel punishment meted out by the grown-ups they have been taught they should love and respect. Such children learn early on to question the meaning of love, to yearn for love, even as they doubt it exists. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? And how does that impact you throughout your life? Ghost said, as a parent, it really hurts my feelings to have to chop my child because I'm the one inflicting the pain. They're experiencing it. It's protecting them and hurting them at the same time. It hurts me more than it hurts you. That's what we think, right? We think if we beat our children that we're protecting them from the harsh world. But what this book is saying is that we are their first harsh experience into navigating through what love means. It gets confusing for children. They start thinking that's love. And how does that end up showing up in their life going forward? Now, everybody, it might not show up the same for everybody. Okay? When asked how to love someone, they talk about giving hugs and kisses, being sweet and cuddly. The notion that love is about getting what one wants, whether it's a hug or a new sweater on a trip to Disneyland, is a way of thinking about love that makes it difficult for children to acquire a deeper emotional understanding. Debbie, great question. I think that's the hope, Hillbilly, but what happens when the teachings aren't enough? Right? We like to imagine that most children will be born into homes where they will be loved. But love will not be present if the grown-ups who parent do not know how to love. The parents have to know how to love. We like to imagine that most children will be born into homes where they will be loved. But love will not be present if the grown-ups who parent do not know how to love. Know the history of your parents' trauma. Do they know how to love? Just because they are your parents does not mean they know how to love. Just because they say I love you, they're going by feeling, the hugs, the cuddliness. Oh, I love you. But do you really know how to show love? Do they know how to show love? Are we instilling the right love into our children as we are raising them? Or are we just saying, I love you through hugs and cuddles and kisses? Although lots of children are raised in homes where they are given some degree of care, love may not be sustained or even present. Adults across lines of class, race, and gender indict the family. Their testimony conveys worlds of childhood where love was lacking, where chaos, neglect, abuse, and coercion reigned supreme. Okay? There can be no love without justice. Okay? Good morning, mother. Hillbillies. Oh, let me go up because y'all are going in. I love it. Love hurts. I think we can all agree on that. True, but does it have to? Aquanda said, my mom would use a wooden paddle or a spoon. My dad would use his fist, and that was when I didn't do anything bad. Going back to Chalk's point, there's a fine line between going too far. Right? Debbie said, if true words weren't spoken, Ghost, why does it have to hurt? I don't know. Hillbilly said, teaching has to come with an experience with it. We balk at teaching some things in life, i.e., we don't socialize with them. Remember that. When we resort to lying, they start thinking they are smarter. Yes, Chalk, we got to break the cycle. We got to know love. We got to instill love beyond the hugs and the kisses. We have to learn love, some of us ourselves. I think I'm still learning love. Deb said, Hillbilly, how do you feel about the parents that tell their kids, I'm not one of your little friends? Do you think parents should be friends with their kids as a part of socializing? Ooh, good question. Cheryl Lee and I just had this conversation because we were both young parents. We both are friends with our children. And I believe based on Cheryl Lee and I conversation, we both share excessive information with our children and they share with us. Sometimes to a point where other parent-child relationships don't understand that level of relationship. And Cheryl Lee and I was just talking about it. And she asked me, do I think that I raised my son as my friend or as a parent? And I said, I definitely raised him as my friend because at 15 being pregnant, at 16 being a mom, what the fuck did I know about parenting? I didn't know shit about parenting. All I know was you want to play? The fuck? I'm going to hug you and I'm going to kiss you and I love you. And survive. As one man bragged about the aggressive beatings he had received from his mother, sharing that they had been good for him, I interrupted and suggested that he not be the misogynist woman hater he is today if he had not been brutally beaten by a woman as a child. Although it is too simplistic to assume that just because we were hit as kids, we will grow up to be people who hit. I wanted the group to acknowledge that being physically hurt or abused by grown-ups when we are children has harmful consequences in our adult lives. In our adult lives. How does that show up in your adult life? For me, I got beatings growing up. All my friends did. We used to go to school and be like, I got my ass beat today, right? I never got abused, right? I didn't get abused and I didn't get beatings for no reason. When I got a beating, I done did some shit. I did. The fuck? I did, right? But they were beatings. These kids today don't know what beatings are because I used to get my ass whipped. I remember people used to come to school and be like, oh, my mama beat me with an extension cord. My mama slapped me across the head with her slipper. My mama grabbed the phone off the wall and threw it at me. These are the stories we went to elementary school telling and junior high school. My mother came swinging at me and punched me in my chest. That's the stories we used to tell when we played hooky and went home and got beat. If we got the school called on us and we ended up in the principal's office, we got beat. One of the most important social myths we must debunk if we are to become a more loving culture is the one that teaches parents that abuse and neglect can coexist with love. We touched on this topic the other day. Can love coexist with abuse? This is a continuation of it through harsh punishment as a gesture of love. Abuse and neglect negate love. Care and affirmation, the opposite of abuse and humiliation, are the foundation of love. No one can rightfully claim to be loving when behaving abusively. Mm. Mm. Y'all said sometimes the emotional pain causes more damage than the physical. Feelings be hurt. Baby, words. That's why I have a t-shirt. Words hurt. Go say, yes, love has to hurt. There are two sides to every coin. Can have the good from it and not the bad too. Hillbilly said, there's a time to be friends. There's a time to be a parent. That's the thing about seen and not heard. We didn't teach how to social. We sent them away to figure it out alone. Oh my God, Hillbilly. Niggas, I got to go to West Virginia. What? Hillbilly, you be dropping fucking deuces and dimes. We did not teach our kids how to socialize. You know, when I watch these shows on TV and, you know, these parents allow their children to have these social events at their house, or the parents are really engaged in the high school social events, or the parents are really engaged in, you know, their children's socialization, having their friends over, pool parties, whatever the fuck it is. It's beautiful, right? Because the parents are engaged in their children's social surroundings and they know their friends. Hillbilly, I'm with you on that. We did not teach our kids how to be social. And today, days and times, is even worse. Because today, we teach our kids that the iPad is their socialization. Every fucking kid I know is on an iPad, is on a phone. My fucking 5-year-old grandchild got an iPhone. I'm like, what the fuck? Playing Roblox and talking to each other online. She talks to her brother online while they're playing games and shit like that. And I'm like, now we have gotten even worse. Because now our children are not socializing as much, like interacting personally with their friends. They're sitting behind iPads and we're letting them. Why? Because parents are able to watch what they want. Parents are able to do what they want. And all these motherfucking kids are on their iPads socializing across the internet. We sent them away to figure it out on their own. Hillbilly, that was a... How do we change that? How do you teach your children how to socialize? Chalk said, Deb, I tell my kids I'm not your friend, I'm your daddy, and that makes me much, much more than a friend. I love that. I love that, Chalk. Ghost says, sending our kids to daycare as a child is our idea of giving them social skills, able to be around other kids and make friends. You think consciously, Ghost, that people that send their kids to daycare consciously say, I'm sending my kid to daycare so that they can learn to socialize? No. We send our kids to daycare because we got to fucking go to work. I mean, I'm not saying every parent don't think about it, but I guarantee a lot of these motherfucking parents out here are not thinking like what you just said, Ghost. And I agree with you. That is a first step in teaching them how to socialize, right? But what happens beyond that? Everything else about school becomes mandatory at kindergarten. And we send our children to school because we have to. Not because consciously we're thinking this is going to benefit their socialization. Right? Do you know your friends' kids? Do you know your kids' friends is what I meant to say? Do you know their parents? You know, my son has a best friend, brother. I'm going to say it's his brother. Besides Marcus Johnson that got on here. You know, he has a close knit of friends, very few. And Jason, I'm going to call him by his government name because fuck that. I know him as Jason, okay? His street name is Dutch. Jason just came home from federal prison. Jason and my son grew up from little boys together. And they used to get in so much fucking trouble with, you know, together. And I'm going to tell you, Jason's dad, his last name is White. Separate family. No. It's just coincidence that both our last names are White. And White is my married last name. My maiden name is Johnston. Act like you never heard that. But anyway, Jason's family last name is White. And Mr. White, Jason's father, was a father figure to my son. A figure that I could never underappreciate. This man has been in my son's life from my son being little. And they have maintained a relationship up until this very day. Now, Jason, Mr. White's son, has been in the Who Scout now for about 13 years or so. And so he's home now. And my son texted me. He was like, guess what, Ma? Dutch is home. And Mr. White asked about you. And I said to myself, that is one family that I knew. I knew the father. I know the father. I know the mother. I know the sisters. I didn't know all his friends, but I knew them. I wish I'd known more. Right? I wish I've known more. This man, Mr. White, called my son the other day to tell him that Dutch is home and that he wants to see us soon. Mr. White. He built a relationship with my son outside of me. He's a married man, beautiful family. Yes, his son was in the Who Scout, but we know my son was in the Who Scout too. That's not always a reflection of the parenting. Do we help our children socialize? That shit was deep, Hillbilly. It was. Brandilla said, oh, wait, let me go. Yeah. Brandilla said, my mother taught me social skills, how to be a good friend, kind, considerate, happy for people, etc. Some parents don't have social skills and you can't teach what you don't know. Woo, woo! Come through, Brandilla. All right. Let me check my calendar at work because lately I have been showing the fuck out. Brandilla, that's a great point. Some parents don't have their own social skills, so how can you teach what you don't know? How can you teach what you don't know? Great question. Aquanda said, I used to intercept the attendance office calling my house, but it would show up on my report card. Brandon said, I think some parents think a benefit of daycare is getting to know how to socialize with other children. I agree with that. Deb said, I actually do, Roy, and here is why. I have friends that have family members that can watch the child, but they don't want them to be isolated, so they do daycare to help aid those skills. I love that. And I didn't say every woman or every parent. I said some or a population of are not thinking about the social skills. But what happens beyond daycare? Okay, we put our kids in daycare to learn how to socialize. What happens beyond that? What other social activities do you incorporate your children in beyond daycare? Y'all, I agree. I taught mine how the fun stuff is dangerous. Deb said, oftentimes it's not a reflection of the parents. We are individuals and make our own choices. I hate that parents get such a bad rap every single time a child does something wrong. It's unfair, baby. Who? People used to be like, who's his mother? I used to be like, what, bitch? I will cut you. And then they'd be like, oh, okay. No, I will cut you. The fuck? I'm a good mother. Children are told that they are loved, even though they are being abused. Children are told they are loved. Now, this is more aligned with the child that is really suffering abuse. Now, I've seen some parents, how they treat their children, and I be like, what the fuck? And then they turn around and tell their kids they love them. How confusing is that for a child? How confusing is that for a child? Okay? It said, many of the men who offer their personal testimony in Boyhood Growing Up Male tell stories of random, violent abuse by parents that inflicted trauma. In his essay, When My Father Hit Me, that's an essay, by Bob Shelby, describes the pain of repeated beatings by his dad, stating, from these experiences with my father, I learned about the abuse of power. By physically hitting my mother and me, he effectively stopped us from reacting to his humiliation of us. We cease to protest his violations of our boundaries and his ignoring our sense of being individuals with needs, demands, and rights of our own. Throughout his essay, Shelby expresses contradictory understandings about the meaning of love. On the one hand, he says, I have no doubt that my father loved me, but his love became misdirected. He said he wanted to give me what he didn't have as a child. On the other hand, Shelby confesses what he most showed me, however, was his difficulty in being loved. All his life, he had struggled with feelings of being unloved. When Shelby describes his childhood, it is clear that his dad had affection for him and also gave him care some of the time. However, his dad did not know how to give and receive love. The affection he gave was undermined by the abuse. Some people don't know how to give love. They are still surviving through their own abuse. Y'all said, I agree, Ghost. I send my kid to the Boys and Girls Club so he can learn how to socialize with other kids and get better emotional intelligence. I love that. What else do we do to teach our kids socialization? I love that. Boys and Girls Club, daycare. Oh man, Shirley, I know you feeling no pain. I know you on a pain med. Shirley said, talking parents and parenting, happy single parents day. Is that such a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing, but happy single parents day to me and to all of y'all that are single parents. Fuck. Good morning, Nakia. Go said having a big family to have other children for them to be around as a kid to get those skills is a plus. Right. I only had one kid. And as I got older, I often said, I wish I had two. Right? Because my son grew up only child. And it's a nightmare. Brandilla said the primary reason for daycare is the need for your child to be watched while you work. There are other benefits like learning the social skills. Okay? Because Brandilla, as a young parent, when I had my son, I didn't think social skills. I was like, get to this daycare so I can get the fuck to work. Yes, ultimately he developed social skills through the interaction with other kids. But do we consciously operate as parents and keep teaching our children social skills as one of the things that we need to focus on with our kids? Or do they just happen to gain social skills from navigating through schools and extracurriculum activities? Okay? Question. Valerie said, Go said, other than that, you can't give them what you don't have to give. True. Val said, yes, at Yalt. I went to Boys and Girls Club too. It was down the street from me. I learned socializing and sports. You know, when I was growing up, it's very different these days and times. When I was growing up, I was raised in Queens. I was born in the South Bronx, but I was raised in Queens. And when I was growing up, we had a recreational center, right? A recreational center that was free. And me and my cousin used to always go to the recreational center, and they had dance groups and they had all kind of stuff. And we joined this dance group, and we used to, put on performances like every couple of months, and the parents in the community would come out and support our performances. And I'm telling you, it was a beautiful thing because it gave us someplace to go. It gave us something to do. But these kids today are socializing on their iPads. I mean, some of them are in basketball and football and stuff like that. But a majority of these kids are stuck to their iPads. Y'all said send me the leftover pain meds. I know y'all. Dad said, I think my mom was really intentional. We attended the symphony, the opera, traveled, etc. She wanted us to be well-rounded and well-spoken, and she sat us down and explained the truth about our family. This is why, Deb, you are going to host 2 shows on Coffee with Friends. You are going to bring your mama up here, and we're going to talk through that. And it might be a part 1 and a part 2 for your mother, and it might be a part 1 and a part 2 for James Gibson, so that he can go through his 2 books and what inspired him to write them and how he navigates his life as a man in today's society, right? Y'all said, Val, yep, me too. These kids bad these days, but my son gotta learn. Oh, it's co-parenting day? Oh, I can't celebrate that. I'm going to celebrate single parent day, though. The fuck? Aquanda says, I'm social and antisocial at times. Aquanda, you know what? That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I think I'm like that, too. I'm very social. But then there are times in my life where I'm not very social. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Brandilla said, my mom was the same, Deb. She purposely exposed me to finer things in life when I was a kid. She always took me to a 5-star restaurant for my birthday, and just because, museums, golf lessons, etc. I love that. I love that. Hillbilly said, I was 12 before I stayed the night with a friend and found out life wasn't what I was used to. 3 years later, I was on my own. Yes, Val, those recreational centers kept us out of trouble. That's where we went after school in Queens. We did. We went to the recreational center. We practiced. We did all kinds of things, and they put on shows. I'm reading out of chapter 2, Justice, Childhood Love Lessons, because this is our way of getting through the book, all about love. And today we're talking about why was harsh punishment a gesture of love, right? Another portion I highlighted was, when Master's mother dies, he feels grief that he cannot be with her. The other inmates do not understand this longing, since she neglected and abused him. He responds, she had neglected me. But I am not to neglect, but am I to neglect myself as well as by denying that I wish I'd been with her when she died, that I still love her? Even on death row, Master's heart remained open, and he can honestly confess to longing to give and receive love. Being hurt by parenting adults rarely alters a child's desire to love and be loved by them. Among grown-ups who were wounded In childhood, the desire to be loved by uncaring parents persists, even when there is a clear acceptance of the reality that this love will never be forthcoming. How many people know people that grew up in unloving, being neglected, abusive homes, and still show an immense amount of love for their parents? I have seen it. And I be like, you still love her? Even when the love is not forthcoming from your parents, you still love them. Often children will want to remain with parental caregivers who have hurt them because of their pathetic feelings for those adults. They will cling to the misguided assumption that their parents love them even in the face of remembered abuse, usually by denying the abuse and focusing on random acts of care. Random acts of care. Sometimes we focus on random acts of care as children, and we love our parents even though we know we're being neglected. We know we don't feel like we're being loved, right? How does that show up in your adult life? For me, I was not abused, right? I was a latchkey kid. Okay, so there might have been a little neglect there, not on purpose, but single parent household, neglect will come just by chance, just by happenstance, because of your situation. How does that show up in your adulthood? Random acts of care. My ex, oh my God, he was beautiful at random acts of care. He was beautiful when he thought of little dates and little gestures. But when he wasn't beautiful, he was abusive emotionally. And even though the emotional abusive times was hard, when he came in with the acts of care, I was like, oh my God, he doesn't really mean to be emotional abusive. He loves me. We learn that from children. Denying the abuse and focusing on random acts of care. How many of you as adults are ignoring the abuse in your relationships, in your adult relationships today because of random acts of care? Y'all go, but he still loves me because he does this, or she still loves me because she does this. And we accept it. Is it because this is what we were taught? This is what we were shown. This is what we developed as children? Y'all said, Roy, after I joined the military, I met so many Black people that told me the worst stories. Some said their mom never told them I love you or avoids them when they go home to visit. Deb said, these population of kids I deal with in foster care, Roy, these children have been sold to landlords for rent payments, and they still love their raggedy parents. I just support them through it. Debbie, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So what does life look like for these foster care children who are still loving their raggedy parents, who probably had raggedy parents? Right? What is their adult life going to look like? How are they going to give love when they don't even know what it looks like? How are they going to accept love, recognize love when they don't even know what it looks like? But for whatever reason, they express the love of these raggedy, toxic parents. The love I learned about was bound by duty and obligation. What does that mean? In the prologue to Creating Love by John Bradshaw calls the confusion about love mystification. He shares, I was brought up to believe that love is rooted in blood relationships. You naturally loved anyone in your family. Love was not a choice. The love I learned about was bound by duty and obligation. My family taught me our culture, rules, and beliefs about love. Even with the best intentions, our parents often confuse love with what we would allow. Wait, Even with the best intentions, our parents often confuse love with what we would now call abuse. To demystify the meaning of love, the art and practice of loving, we need to use sound definitions of love when talking with children. We also need to ensure that loving action is never tainted with abuse. Y'all said, Deb, children are the most forgiving of their parents when they're young. It's akin to limerence. No, it is more about duty and obligation, because we were taught we have to love our blood relationships. That's what we were taught. Chalk, we do want to believe. Brandilla said, in the other hand, y'all know I'm dealing with a challenging mate. The lines of love and abuse, not physical, get blurred for me. Emotional, I get it. I believe it came from having a domineering, controlling mother. And Brandilla, I'm glad you recognize that. Because I've recognized in myself, in the partners that I choose, that I take on a certain level of emotional abuse, right? Maybe it's because that's what I'm used to, or I was used to, because I ain't fucking used to it no more. Maybe deep down inside, when that therapist asked me that question, are you worthy of goodness? Immediately my brain said yes. But when I reflected across my life and my life choices, my answer was no. I obviously do not believe I am worthy of goodness, because if I did, then I would have made better choices. Sometimes the first thing we do is go, yes, I'm worthy of goodness. But no, actions. Fuck those words. Reflect on the actions that played out in your life. And look at those actions and say to yourself, is this what shows you feel that you are worthy of goodness? And when I reflected on that, I said, I'm not moving. I wasn't moving as though I was worthy of goodness. That was a wake-up call for me. Then I started to understand why I'm picking the partners that I'm picking. I am worthy of goodness, right? And I say those words, but I got to make it in action in my life. What happens in your childhood shows up in your adult life. I never thought I was worthy of anything but being a caretaker, because that's all I ever been. Caretake my brother, caretake my child, caretake his kids, caretake Build-A-Bear men. It showed up in my adult life. Right? Your choices and how you live is a reflection of if you truly feel you are worthy of goodness. If you find yourself in toxic relationships and you stay, ask yourself, am I worthy of goodness? Ask yourself, and then look at your life and ask it again, because that's what I had to do. And I came up with a different answer. I had to admit I liked a little toxic. But that's some shit I need to unpack within myself, because that little bit of toxic that I be liking for a short period of time, I be hating it as the relationship develops. It's me that needs to make a change. It's me that needs to navigate my life as though I'm worthy of goodness, not just fucking saying it. It needs to show up. Brandilla, we can't tell you what to do and what time limit to put on what's going on. But just remember, you are passing time in a relationship that you don't see that you don't see a future with. Because since you've been talking about this relationship, you keep saying there's a part of you that knows you have to end this relationship, but you're still holding on because you're addicted, right? And we know we've been through this with the last relationship. And we have to commit to ourselves to want to grow and want to do better. No matter how good those small acts of service look. If that person is abusive and that person is toxic, those small acts of services mean nothing. You deserve more. And if you find yourself still craving that environment, you have to step back and you have to work on yourself, because it's not the other person at this point. It's you. I posted something the other day that said red flags are not always on the other person. Sometimes the red flags are on you. And you keep choosing the same, then you the red flag. I had to say that to myself. Red flags are not always on the next person. Sometimes we got to check ourselves. Parents often confuse love with what we would now call abuse. Let that marinate. Okay? Let that marinate. All right? So, I mean, this was, to end it, they say, well, to end this piece for me, it says, loving parents work hard to discipline without punishment. This does not mean that they never punish. Only when they do punish, they choose punishments like timeouts or taking away of privileges. They focus on teaching children how to be self-disciplined and how to take responsibility for their actions. Since the vast majority of us were raised in households where punishment was deemed the primary, if not the only way to teach discipline, the fact that discipline can be taught without punishment surprises many people. One of the simplest ways children learn discipline is by learning how to be orderly in daily life, to clean up their mess they make. Just teaching a child to take responsibility for placing toys in the appropriate place after playtime. All right? Learning to clean up mess made during playtime. As they can learn from this practical act how to cope with emotional mess. Okay? Give your children responsibilities. I know some people that don't let their kids do shit. And I be like, who the fuck husband and wife they gonna be? I know people that grown ass kids, they still doing their fucking laundry and still cleaning their rooms. It's a nightmare. What are we teaching our children? Remember, they are going out to the world to be somebody else's mate. They too are going to have their own children. What we teach our children just passes down. How can we do better? Brandilla said, well, y'all, that's a great question. Brandilla, does the good stuff outweigh the bad? What does that even mean, y'all? That was a question that I used to ask myself with my ex. That is a question of settling, in my opinion. Does the good outweigh the bad? Fuck that. Why do we have to accept all the bad? Stop accepting less than. That's settling to me. Does the good outweigh the bad? Okay, he's good most of the time, and then when he's bad, it's really fucked up. The question you should ask yourself is, am I safe with this person? Am I physically safe? Am I emotionally safe? Can I grow in this environment in a healthy way? Fuck, does the good outweigh the bad? Because even if it did, maybe that little bit of bad is what might fuck you up. See, that's what had me stay for several years with my ex. Talking about, oh, well, the good outweighs the bad. Because my emotional state says something different. Fuck that, does the good outweigh the bad? What kind of bad is it? And how is it impacting you? Fuck that. Stop accepting less than for these fucking small acts of service. Talking to y'all and me. Cheryl said, children, as Belle said, are victims of terrorism. They have no voice of right. Speak on that, Cheryl, the person that read the whole book. Y'all said, I agree, Roy. I was thinking maybe she's outweighing the good with the bad and staying because of that. But yep, it ain't good enough. It ain't. And for us to simply say that, the good outweighs the bad, or I'm enjoying the good, but the bad, and we're accepting the bad for that small moments of good, that is a red flag on you, not the other person. Learn to identify your own red flags. Deb said, Roy, do you know how many people are currently settling? That's an entire week-long topic. It's actually quite sad how much we settle in our everyday life, period. Facts! Facts. Oh, I know there's no physical abuse, but people harp on that. Oh, I'm not physically being abused. Emotional abuse is just as bad. Emotional abuse is almost worse because you can put a stake on a black eye. You can go and put a pain patch on your arm and on your back, but you cannot put a patch on your emotions that have been damaged and abused. That will take years of therapy to unpack for many, opposed to going to get 3 or 4 stitches. Let's not stop accepting emotional abuse because it's not physical. It's just as bad. Reminding myself and a message to y'all. Stop accepting less than. Our emotions are just as important as our fucking physical bodies. Why we put one above the other? Oh, it's not physical, it's emotional. We put emotional down here like we could survive. Baby. They up here together. Together. They are there. Together. Because if we're not emotionally whole, how can we continue to navigate our lives in a healthy way? Y'all said, has he ever tried to stop you from leaving, like stood in front the door? What does that matter? My ex never tried to stop me, never buffed up his chest at me, but his words were so cruel, and how he used to do little shit used to be so cruel, and it used to fuck with my mind. It used to fuck with my mind. He never was physical, never raised up on me, never tried to stop me from doing, never even grabbed me. But he fucked with my mind. That is not okay. Thank you. But this is why. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? Many of us accept mental abuse because this is what we grew up being used to. And so when we get in these relationships and they hug us, I love you, babe. You be like, I love you too. And then you forget all the fucking mental torment in that moment. Fuck that. Y'all said I just finished a domestic violence class, and emotional and mental abuse is a form of domestic violence. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Stop making it less than physical abuse. It's same. But we accept it because some of us were raised under the guise of emotional abuse, and we normalized it. And so when it shows up in our relationships, we make excuses and we go, well, they're good at sometimes. Most of the time, they're good to me. That's the same thing that little girl was saying about her parents. I love my parents. They good to me. But in the back, they were being fucked up in the mind. How are we going to do better? I say, ask yourself the question the therapist asked me, and don't be so fucking fast to say yes. Because I know people be like, yes, I'm worthy of goodness. But if you look at your life and the choices you make in your life and the people you have in your life, ask yourself that motherfucking question again. Am I worthy of goodness? Does that show up in your life? Exactly, y'all. That's what people say. Oh, I love them. They're good to me as long as they're not cheating or beating on me. That's all. That's all the requirement it takes for someone not to cheat on you or beat on you for you to think that's love? No. We must do better. All right? So as you guys are adults, reflect on your life and ask yourself, how does your childhood show up in your adult life? And if you are a product of harsh punishment, mentally or physically, how does that show up in your relationships as an adult? What are you accepting? What are your red flags? Not the other person's red flags. What the fuck are yours? One of the best skills is teaching a child to wait. One of the best skills is teaching a child pronouns, solve every decision or consequences. Skill to has consequences. I got confused. Good morning, Rochelle, aka So Blessed. Go said, what's wild is I've come across women who like the abuse. That was too toxic for me. Yes, because that's what they're used to. And they have not stepped into the healing because they have normalized that level of treatment. It's sad. Brandilla said he's never tried to block me from leaving. I think he does it mentally. Constantly makes me feel like I have to prove myself to him. Always questions everything I do. Mm. Mm. Mm-mm. You're going to have to work through that, Brandilla. Because you've been telling us that you've been feeling this way for a while now, since the beginning of the relationship. And so you're going to have to discover what your red flags are. Why is it you're accepting this? Why is it okay for you to just settle for the little acts of service and you accept all this other strenuous stuff in the relationship? That's your red flag. Work on that. All right. And so with that, I need to move on to closure of the show. But now that we have, where's my other shoe? Okay, a body of people on here. Is he your man or your father? Right, Cena. Because fuck you. Now. I know I'm a bit of a tough cookie, but I've become tougher based on my experiences. So, I mean, a man that's with me, I'm very challenging because I'm going to fuck you real quick. I'm going to be like, fuck you real quick if I see any signs of control. Do not try to control me. I'm a whole grown ass 57-year-old woman. Okay, don't even fucking try it. I have stepped into the room of healing and I am going to be checking my own red flags. Good morning, Smokey. Is he your motherfucking father or is he your goddamn man? Don't fucking tell me what to do. Don't act like I got to prove myself to you all the time. Stop putting emotional abuse under physical abuse. They're the same. Both have an impact on your life. Both have an impact on your mental stability. And we have a habit of accepting relationships just so that we're not alone. I mean, I must admit, there was a time in my life that I was afraid to be alone, but not anymore. Not anymore. Because you know what? My mental state is more important than having a toxic relationship. It is. And see, this is where some men confuse us women, and they say, oh, these women, they just run around bragging that they could pay their bills and they could do this and they could fucking do that. No, I'm protecting my fucking mental space, yo. See, y'all think it's about about us beefing up our chest and being independent. A lot of us come from abusive backgrounds. A lot of us come from, abusive relationships, mentally, physically, whatever the fuck. And some of us have really stepped into the room and said no more. And so the women that are standing in that space of no more are trying to get what they deserve because they have stepped into the room of realizing that they are worthy of goodness. Not just saying you're worthy of goodness, but acting, and it's showing up in your life that you are worthy of goodness. You can say whatever the fuck you want with your words, but if you say I'm worthy of goodness and got a raggedy ass man that's abusing you mentally or physically, then you are not worthy of goodness. Your actions say you're not worthy of goodness. Something to think about. This information that I'm sharing is with love. This is why we are on Coffee with Friends, to learn about love. Do better, be better, not consistently accept what we were taught as children. Some of us had the beautiful experiences of the arts and traveling the world and being taught to socialize. But there's a population of kids in our community that do not get this level of care. And they grow up as adults and they are toxic. Nice. All right, Smokey stepped into the room and helped out on the cars. That's cool, y'all. That's cool. I love that. Deb said, I'm apprehensive getting into a relationship these days. Single continues to work for me. Listen, Deb, because it be, girl, for me, I don't know, like relationships for me, I be scared too. Because I want what the fuck I want. And some people are not going to understand what I want. And they're going to judge me for what I want. But I don't care. I've been through enough in my life and I need what I need. And if that means I'll be by myself, then that means I'll be fucking by myself. Until I'm married, I'm single. There'll be times that I'm not available, but until I'm married, I'm single. And I will not settle for less than what I deserve ever again. Because not only am I checking their red flags, I'm checking my red flags too. Brandon said, I go into the office on Wednesdays. I've had a couple of doctor's appointments and made them for Wednesday. He questioned that. There was no ulterior motive. He made it seem like it was being sneaky. See, that's a red flag for me on his part and yours. Because why do you have to explain yourself as a grown-ass woman why you make your doctor's appointments on Wednesday? This is why motherfuckers like Fancy and Debbie and Nut don't want to live in the same house with their significant others, because motherfuckers do too much. Unless I asked you to drive me, then what the fuck is the problem? Ghost, no matter your situation, you are worthy. You just haven't learned that yet. We're not saying that you're not worthy. That's not the message. Everyone is worthy. But the question was simple. Do you feel you are worthy of goodness? See, listen to the question. Do you feel you are worthy of goodness? And like I said, immediately my mind said yes. But when I looked at my life and the choices that I was making and the friends that I was picking and the relationships that I was settling for, those actions is where the answer came from. And the answer was no. Based on my actions, I am not showing I am worthy of goodness. I deserve goodness. Yes, I do. But do you live your life like you're worthy of it? Brandilla, that's the question you should ask yourself in this relationship that's emotional abusive. Do you feel you are worthy of goodness? Do you feel you deserve this emotional abuse? Do you feel that this is where you deserve to be? Ask yourself those questions. And with that, y'all, that is the message of today, right? You know, this hit on chapter 2 in the book of All About Love, where it's titled Childhood Love Lessons. You know, chapter 3 gets into honesty, be true to love. That's a whole nother deep dive. All right. Why was harsh punishment a gesture of love? All right. And how does that show up in your adult life? Food for thought. Also, food for thought. Not only look for other people's red flags, check your fucking red flags. What are you accepting? My message might come across harsh, but it's always with love, right? Because healing is not a simple journey. Healing is about stepping into the room, being accountable, wanting change, and being completely transparent with the things that is going on. If you step into the room and you're still lying to yourself, then you ain't ready. You ain't ready. And I will rock out with anyone that steps into the room of readiness. You don't have to be perfect. But if you're going to keep acting raggedy and toxic, you're not ready. Check your red flags as well as checking the other person's. Y'all said, my sister abandoned her 3 kids and I always remind them that they are still loved. I pray it doesn't affect them as adults, but I know it will. Brandilla said, I'm working on it, y'all. I know it's a problem. That's why I speak about it. And I love that you are transparent about that, Brandilla, because that's how you do better. I love that. Thank you. I've suffered so many losses since 2021. Somehow I tried to avoid loss. All those I couldn't control. I get it. I suffered many losses myself. And I talked about that for months on this show. And I cried over some of these losses, not real tears, but on the inside, because I barely shed tears. That's a trauma, right? And I've cried on the inside over these people. And then I said, One day I woke up, Brandilla, and I said, why am I crying over people that don't have any respect or care for me? What the fuck is that? And I woke up and I said, this is when I need to step into the room of self-love. Understand what it is I need, what it is I deserve. Yes, I lost people, good friends, deaths, whatever. But I still deserve happiness. I still deserve peace. And I cannot continue to surround myself with less than. That's my red flag that I had to check. We are definitely here for you. But try not to go year over year. I think it's been about a year now we've been hearing about this. Try not to go year over year, because this is how people wake up 10 years later in a fucked up relationship and wondering how the fuck they got there, because you know what? They kept waiting. The little acts of services that abusive person does holds us in, keeps us connected. And then next minute, you know, you wake up 10 years later like, how the fuck did I get here? Thank you, Val. Yes, I keep moving. I ask God to remove those that don't deserve me in their life. And amen. With a capital A. Get the fuck on. And then there's those that you lose with death. But life goes on. It doesn't mean that we have to continue to suffer. And so that's my message for today. I'm going to send y'all motherfuckers out with some peace and love. Today was a good message, right? And mainly focused on the book, All About Love, right? Because this is an excellent read. Okay? It touches on so many things. It does. And I'm going to keep navigating through this book because until we get this love shit right, how are we going to fix all this toxic shit? Step into the room of accountability. Know that you are worthy of goodness, not just by saying it with your words, but let it show up in your fucking life. Okay? And with that being said, couple of announcements, y'all. All right. So the house in Galveston for Friendsgiving, I want to say you guys have been doing great, y'all. Okay, I have $400 more that's owed. Okay, I'm not trying to call people out, but I'm calling y'all out with love. Rochelle, aka So Blessed, you have a balance. You know what your balance is. Chicago has a balance. I don't think the motherfucker gonna pay. And I know y'all keep telling me to stop and be good and shit like that, but I told y'all, do not stick me with y'all monies, right? I did. I told y'all I have a case coming up in June that's costing me $20,000 plus. I told y'all motherfuckers that. So if anybody on this list stick me with their money, they are never gonna live it down as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if it's only $150. If it was so only, then pay the shit. Okay, so if I have to cover anybody's bill on here, I'm going to be very upset. And you're probably not going to be invited to another coffee with friends. With love. Okay, because showing love is not sticking me with your bill. Okay, Aquanda, I know you coming, okay? And so, Valerie, I received your full payment today. So right now, we are $400 short of our goal. We have Aquanda, we have Rochelle, and we have Chicago. I know, Aquanda, you're good for it. Rochelle, you are showing good faith. You are paying your money towards it. Chicago, I have not heard a thing about when I'm going to get his balance, okay? And so, if I got to pay his balance, I am not going to be fucking happy. Thank you, Rochelle. I wasn't really worried about you. Okay? But thank you. I appreciate that. So blessed. Okay? If I got to cover anybody's bill, I'm going to be fucking pissed. I got my own shit going on. I'm just the fuck saying. Yes, pray for Chicago. Johnny Leon Hill, that prayer still marinates with me if Johnny Leon Hill is out there. You know, we have people on this platform that might not be ready to step into the room of accountability. We still need to pray for them. We need to pray for their healing. We do. But don't fucking stick me with that bill. That's it. And that's all. But with that, y'all, I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow, Freestyle Friday. What we going to talk about tomorrow? All right? I don't know, but we'll see when we get there. But in the meantime, between time, you know, even when you feel
low, you can still go.
And you can.
Even when you feel slow, you can still go.
Yep.
Even when there's no hope, you can still go.
Uh-huh.
I never answer to no.
Good morning, Pat. This is Coffee with Friends, and I'm Royalty Devo, and I'm out, y'all. Happy Thursday. Move with peace and love. Check your red flags just like you check others. Get this message on the way out. Hustle hard. Hey, I've been making moves. What? I've been doing shit my way or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I'm down through the climb, I invite. Hey. What? Switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. But I just slide right by that energy. What? Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no man, I still go. And I don't, y'all. Peace and blessings. I'm out. Until tomorrow.